Oh, Cito, where have you been?
Yeah, no. Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Today, let's take a look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Return of the Jedi 40th Anniversary Wave 1 Wicket. And yes, it's a whole wave, but I have all the rest of the figures. And today's prices, I can't just willy-nilly, oh, I really like the retro cars, I better grab them, hang them up on the wall. No, that doesn't happen anymore. So I'm just after new characters for the shelf. And in this case, in Wave 1, it is only Wicket. See, he's right there. He's down there at the bottom. The packaging, like I said, is retro inspired. In fact, it's pretty much what I saw as a child, just bigger. Because I'm an adult now. You got the blister with the weapons, with the figure on the back. There's the rest of the wave. And then just a wall of text. Anyway, let's get this open and give me the figure because I want to play with it. And look at this. It is just so dang adorable. I know it's a small figure and there's not a lot of plastic, especially for the price. The articulation's been cut back a little bit, but after getting it out of the package, having it in hand for a minute, messing around, this is exactly what I wanted for a Black Series Wicket action figure. I mean, just look at that. The glassy eyes that you can just stare into, the reflections. It's like an endless void. There's also a cuteness factor that looks back at you and you just want to give them a saltine. The button nose, the teeth that are nicely sculpted and painted. The two heavy white lines painted right here makes it very mustachy, and then the rest comes off his beard, but you get back away from it and it's not that big a deal. You got that same color scheme poking up here with the ears and then peeking out here on the belly, and then the rest, there may be, I don't know, there may be a wash to it, but the rest is mostly just brown sculpted plastic. But it's nicely sculpted as we focus on his little tushy. It's furry all the way around. It's teddy bearish, and I know that is an age-old description of Wicket himself, but it applies. Then you have the fleshy fingers sticking out and the toes down on the feet, where toes are supposed to be. Have his leather hide hood thing in the brown. It does have some wash to it, bring out the shadows, and then some paint to the various stitches, like right here and here around the ear, coming down over here on the other side, and a little on the back. That can be removed. It's essentially held on there by the ears. And maybe it's because it's thinned out to compensate for a plastic piece to go over it, but this isn't as cute. I mean, it's especially scary when you remember that the Ewoks are meat eaters. Don't forget that they were trapping Han and Leia and the rest to eat. They were putting them over a fire. They were cooking them. You can see how much gap they left for the neck to give you a lot of range there. And yeah, it looks gappy here, but it's going to be hidden 99.9% of the time by the hood. In his front page review, Benty was right. It does look like a frosted mini-wheat. But like this, and all the articulation exposed, it does bring us to the lack of knees. And when I saw this in the promotional images, I was like, what the hell? Why didn't they put some kind of joint there? The other Ewoks got knees. Even the small Yoda that came with the Dagobah Luke got knees. Looking at this clinically, there is a hinge at the foot, and that is gonna circle around and come up to about right here and back down. Then there's a ball coming out to the hip, which takes up about right here for the socket. So we're working from here to here, and that's not enough space for another hinge and swivel. The peg would have to go up and probably run into the ball, and then the hinge would come down and cross over here, and physics doesn't work like that. You can't put two objects in the same space at the same time. Take the arm. The hinge comes out to the shoulder to about right here. Then you have the peg coming up to here. On the lower arm, there's a hinge that goes down to here and cuts across, and then the hand is pegged directly under that. And then surprisingly, there's a hinge in the hand. This is going to come off as apologist. Oh, you're just saying that because you like Star Wars figures. This essentially does everything I want it to do. Get some running pose, some spread out action pose, some smooth walking pose. Because of the shape of the character himself with the belly and the short arms, the short legs, it's just tough to get super actiony poses. It was the same in the movie. He just kind of... But while we're all over articulation, there is a dumbbell joint at the neck. Because of all this cutout, you can get some up, not so much down, but there is shift forward and back to get you a little bit. Very nice tilt, side to side. Pin coming out to the shoulder, rotates all the way around, and then hinges up to there. Hinge and swivel at the elbow that bends to here, and out of the package, go to bend it, and you're running into that extra plastic again that feels like you've got to kind of push into it, swivel at the wrist, and then hinge at the wrist. A lot of that is the peg flexing back and forth. Kind of work your way in. It hinges in, hinges out. Dumbbell at the mid-torso gets you some hula hoop action going all the way around. Then rotation. Ball coming out to the hip allows for this, and that. And a little bit of rotation. Hinge at the ankle goes back. There's not a lot of figure to grab onto. Oh, okay, there we go. Goes forward, and then front-facing pin for rocker. Let's put this on, because I guess you could consider this an accessory, but this, to me, is part of the figure. Now that's obviously going to get in the way of some of the head movement, but there's still some room for shifting inside of it, like looking up, and we weren't getting a lot of down anyway. There's still some tilt, and then some side to side that is affected by the actual shape of the hood. There is some flex, but because this hangs straight down, you go to look to the right and you're running into the arm. There's much more movement to the left. And in some of the action shots, I have the spear this way, and it just seems more natural because he can look that way and point. I'm tempted to call Wicket left-handed anyway because of the pose right there on the package. For actual accessories, there's a spear. It's just brown plastic and then some gray for the spearhead. And boom. That's my Wicket right there. He's so fierce. For other Ewok accessories, there's this club. There's another club with some wrap around the top. Then there's a bow and even a little arrow. There's a tube right there. Load the arrow. You're good. You can kind of get Wicket into a bow shooting pose, but I think most of the time it's just meant to let go. It's just meant to be held down, like going into battle. And doesn't look too bad with other Ewoks. Wicket stands at, 2 3/4 inches tall. Isn't a lot of plastic, but it's accurate. This looks fantastic with Tebow and Paplu. And I can say the same next to the 2 indoor Leias. I just opened this for this review. I never took a look at her. I like the sculpt. The paint is a little light, especially on this former Ewok victim dress, but the hair gets in the way of the head. It's supposed to. Look how long it is. My biggest problem is the arms don't go down beside the body. It just stays sticking out like that. And then here's Wicket with the Bandai SH figure arts, not really Mandalorian Luke. And then a custom indoor Han I cobbled together with an eBay trench coat, a casting cave head, and a Bespin Han body. Wicket is bigger than that Black Series 2-pack Yoda, and here's the SH figure arts R2 for no reason, just because it looks good. So at the end of the day, a great addition to my Star Wars shelf. Not the most dynamic of action figures, but considering it is Wicket, it does what I needed to do. There is some action pose to it. It's just not gonna kung fu fight. It's still a precious little human flesh eating teddy bear for my shelf. It's my #1 wanted Ewok, and now Hasbro can get to all the other Ewoks. I need a Chief Chirpa and a Low Gray and all the rest.